Imagine this, you wake up in the dead of night, your heart pounding, your skin slick with sweat. A dream, vivid, unsettling, clings to you like a shadow. In it, you were running from something, or perhaps towards something, but the harder you moved, the more the world around you twisted into something unrecognizable. And then, just as you reached for a door, a threshold, an answer, you woke up. But here's the unsettling truth, that dream wasn't just a random firing of neurons. It was a message, one you've been ignoring your entire life. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the part of yourself you refuse to see. Friedrich Nietzsche warned that whoever fights monsters must take care not to become one. And yet here you are, living in a world that demands you to be whole while systematically tearing you in half. You were told to be confident but humble, ambitious but content, individual but conforming. The contradictions pile up, and somewhere in the chaos, a war rages, one you didn't even know you were fighting. Who is the enemy? Is it the voice in your head that whispers you're not enough? The face in the mirror that feels like a stranger? Or is it something deeper, something ancient, a battle not just within you, but within every human soul that has ever dared to ask, who am I? The modern world offers endless distractions, but none of them answer the question. You scroll, you consume, you climb ladders only to find they're leaning against the wrong walls. And all the while, the war goes on, unseen, unspoken, unresolved. What if the very thing you've been running from is the key to your liberation? What if the enemy you fear is the ally you've been waiting for? The first step is the hardest, to turn and face what you've spent a lifetime avoiding. But the alternative, a life of silent, unconscious conflict, is far worse. The battlefield is within. The time to awaken is now. You felt it before, that gnawing sense of unease, as if you're living a life that isn't entirely yours. You wear masks so often you forget what your own face looks like. You say the right things, follow the right scripts, yet something primal within you rebels. This is not an accident. This is the symptom of a deeper, older struggle, one that has haunted humanity since the dawn of self-awareness. Carl Jung called it the problem of opposites. We are torn between light and shadow, between the person society demands we become and the wild, untamed self that refuses to be domesticated. Society rewards conformity, but the soul craves authenticity. We are taught to suppress our darkness, to deny our irrational impulses, to shove our instincts into the cellar of the unconscious, and then we wonder why they return as monsters in our dreams. Nietzsche saw the split as the birth of resentment, a slow-burning fury that festers when we deny our true nature. Arthur Schopenhauer argued that beneath the veneer of civilization we are still driven by a blind, writhing will, one that cannot be reasoned away. And Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of Auschwitz, observed that those who lost meaning didn't perish from starvation or cold alone, but from the crushing weight of an inner void. The modern world has only amplified this fracture. We are overstimulated yet undernourished, connected yet lonelier than ever. We outsource our thinking to algorithms, our desires to advertisers, our morals to the crowd. We are told to be ourselves, yet the very structures we live in, schools, corporations, social media, reward performance, not truth. So we dissociate. We numb ourselves with distraction, with addiction, with the endless chase of status and approval. But the war doesn't disappear. It just goes underground. And here's the terrifying truth, you cannot silence a part of yourself without consequence. The shadow grows stronger in exile. The repressed returns. The more you deny your chaos, the more it controls you from the shadows. This is not just your struggle. This is the human struggle. The question is, will you keep ignoring it? Or will you dare to face what's been hidden? The battlefield is set. The enemy is within. And the first step to victory is seeing the war for what it really is. The war within doesn't stay contained. It spills into everything, your relationships, your ambitions, even the way you see yourself. You might mistake it for stress, for dissatisfaction, for a vague sense that life should feel more than this. But these are just symptoms. The real disease is disconnection from yourself, from your instincts, from the raw, unfiltered truth of what you are. Consider this, every time you suppress an emotion, it doesn't vanish. It migrates. Unexpressed anger becomes passive aggression. Unacknowledged fear mutates into chronic anxiety. Repressed desire transforms into envy, self-sabotage, or a hunger that no amount of consumption can satisfy. Jung warned that what you resist persists, and modern neuroscience confirms it. The brain doesn't delete unwanted impulses, it buries them where they grow stronger in the dark. Look at the world around you. The rise of tribalism, the epidemic of burnout, the compulsive need to perform happiness while drowning in quiet despair, these are not just societal trends. They are the collective symptoms of millions of people at war with themselves. A culture that worships positivity denies the shadow, and so the shadow erupts in twisted forms: online rage, self-destruction disguised as ambition, the glorification of numbness. Even your memories are not safe. Cognitive science reveals that the brain rewrites the past to fit your current self-concept. Every time you deny a part of who you are, you don't just lose the present, you lose the truth of who you've been. Your history becomes a curated exhibit, not a living thing. And without the full truth of your past, how can you possibly navigate your future? The greatest tragedy is that most never realize the war is even happening. They blame the world, their circumstances, other people, never suspecting that the real conflict is internal. They chase external fixes, money, fame, validation, only to find the void remains. But what if there was another way? What if the enemy you've been running from is the very thing that could set you free? The turning point is near. The way out is not forward, but inward. The moment you realize the war exists is the moment you gain your first true weapon: awareness. But awareness alone is not enough. To break free, you must do the one thing you've been conditioned to avoid. You must turn toward the shadow. This is the radical shift. Society tells you to conquer your darkness, to fix yourself, to become some idealized version of a human being. But Jung proposed something far more dangerous and liberating: integration. The goal is not to destroy the shadow, but to understand it, to converse with it, to reclaim the power you've unknowingly handed over to it. Think of it like this: a man who denies his capacity for rage becomes either a doormat or a ticking bomb. But a man who acknowledges his rage, who learns its triggers, its language, its purpose, gains control over it. He transforms it into assertiveness, into boundaries, into fuel for meaningful action. The same applies to fear, desire, envy, every unacceptable part of yourself that you've tried to amputate. History's most profound thinkers, from the Stoics to the existentialists, agreed on one truth: freedom begins with ownership. Nietzsche's concept of a more fatty love of fate demands embracing all of yourself, even the parts that shame you. Viktor Frankl survived the camps by finding meaning in suffering, not denying it. Jungian therapy revolves around confronting the shadow, not fleeing it. Practical steps for rebellion. 1. Name the shadow. When you feel a surge of unacceptable emotion, don't suppress it, interrogate it. Why does this anger me? What fear is beneath this anxiety? 2. Dialogue, not dominate. Write a letter from your shadow. Let it speak. You'll often find it's not a monster, but a wounded, exiled part of you. 3. Reframe your story. Every flaw has a flipped strength. Obsession can become focus. Nihilism can become the precursor to rebuilding meaning. 4. Sacred pause. Before reacting, ask, is this me or a mask I've been conditioned to wear? This is not self-improvement. This is self-reclamation. The world will resist it, but the alternative is a lifetime of civil war within your own soul. The final truth awaits, and it's more liberating than you can imagine. Here is the secret at the heart of the war. There is no enemy. The shadow is not your opponent. It is your disowned self. The chaos you fear is not a flaw, but a force. The contradictions tearing you apart are not mistakes to resolve, but tensions to hold. You were never meant to be one thing. You are a symphony of light and dark, order and chaos, instinct and reason. The goal was never victory, but wholeness. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming undivided. Nietzsche envisioned the Übermensch not as a perfected being, but as one who embraces their totality. Even ancient myths knew this truth. The hero doesn't slay the dragon, but learns its language. The dragon was never the obstacle. It was the gatekeeper of the next level of consciousness. Consider this paradox. The parts of yourself you've been taught to hate are often the sources of your greatest power. Your sensitivity, which society calls weakness, is the root of your empathy. Your anger, which you've been told to suppress, could have been the fire to set boundaries or fight injustice. Your irrational desires, dismissed as distractions, might have been guiding you toward your true north all along. The ultimate rebellion is to stop fighting yourself. When you do, something astonishing happens. The war ends. Not because one side won, but because you finally understood there were never sides to begin with, only aspects of a self you'd been conditioned to fracture. This is the revelation that rewires existence. Integration is liberation. The shadow becomes an ally. The chaos becomes creativity. The contradictions become the tension that propels you forward. You stop trying to fix yourself and start being yourself fully, unapologetically, without division. The world will not applaud this. A divided self is easier to control. But you will finally breathe freely. You will dream without censorship. You will act without self-sabotage. The war is over when you say it is. Now, what will you do with peace?